Commander Jake Harris stood at the center of the largest room he had ever seen. The council chamber of Volantis Prime stretched upward for what seemed like miles, with thousands of seats carved into the curved walls. Each seat held a representative from a different species, and every single one of them was staring at him. Jake kept his face calm. He had trained for this moment for 3 years. When Earth scientists finally cracked faster than light travel, everyone knew first contact would come soon. They just did not expect it to happen so quickly. A Vellani scout ship had appeared near Jupiter only 6 months ago, and now here he was, standing before the rulers of the known galaxy. "The human delegation is recognized," said a deep voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Jake looked up at the central platform where High Arbiter Zorvan sat. The Terani leader was impressive in a way that was hard to describe. His skin looked like polished silver, and his 4 eyes glowed with a soft blue light. He was tall and thin, with long fingers that he kept pressed together as he studied the humans below. "Thank you, High Arbiter," Jake said. "On behalf of Earth and all of humanity, I am honored to be here." Dr. Amy Walsh stood beside him, her tablet clutched tightly in her hands. She was the smartest person Jake had ever met, and even she looked nervous. Behind them stood 4 other crew members from the Horizon, Earth's first diplomatic vessel. "Before we proceed," Zorvan said, "standard protocol requires that we classify your home world. This is a simple process. Our systems will scan the data you have provided about Earth, and we will assign it a habitability rating." Jake nodded. This had been explained to him during the journey to Volantis Prime. Every planet with intelligent life received a classification from 1 to 15. Class 1 worlds were paradise planets with perfect conditions for life. Most council species came from worlds rated between 1 and 4. "Please proceed," Jake said. A holographic screen appeared in the center of the chamber. Numbers and symbols flashed across it in a language Jake could not read. The process took only a few seconds. Then the screen turned red, and a number appeared that made no sense to Jake, but caused immediate chaos in the chamber. Screams erupted from dozens of species. Some representatives fell from their seats. Others ran for the exits. The noise was so loud that Jake instinctively reached for a weapon he was not carrying. "What is happening?" Amy shouted over the noise. Ambassador Kethra, their Vellani liaison, stumbled toward them. She was a delicate creature, about 4 feet tall, with a body that looked like it was made of thin glass and silk. Her wings trembled so hard that Jake worried they might break. "Class 13, she whispered. "Your world is classified as a Class 13 Deathworld." Jake did not understand. "Is that bad?" Kethra made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. The highest-rated world with intelligent life before today was Class 7. The Vraxi come from a Class 8 world, and they are considered the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. No one has ever seen a Class 13 world produce anything but death. High Arbiter Zorvan raised his hand, and the chamber slowly fell silent. His silver face showed no emotion, but his 4 eyes had changed from blue to a deep orange color. "There must be an error," said a voice from somewhere in the crowd. "There is no error," Zorvan replied. "I have ordered 3 separate scans. All return the same result. The human homeworld, which they call Earth, is a Class 13 Deathworld." Jake looked at Amy. She had gone pale, but her eyes were moving quickly as she processed this information. "High Arbiter," Jake said carefully, "I do not understand why this is causing such concern. Earth is our home. We have lived there for hundreds of thousands of years. That is precisely what concerns us," Zorvan said. "Commander Harris, do you understand what a Deathworld is?" "I assume it means a dangerous planet." "Dangerous is a gentle word for what your planet appears to be." Zorvan gestured, and new images appeared on the holographic screen. Jake recognized them immediately. Mountains, oceans, forests, deserts. Home. Your world has active tectonic plates, Zorvan said. The ground itself moves and breaks apart. You have mountains that explode with liquid rock. Your weather systems produce winds strong enough to destroy cities and waves tall enough to drown entire coastlines. Those are just earthquakes, volcanoes, and storms, Jake said. They are natural. The chamber erupted in noise again. Zorvan waited for silence before continuing. Your planet orbits a star that bombards it with deadly radiation. Your atmosphere contains oxygen at 21% concentration, a level that would poison most species in this chamber. Your world is home to millions of species, many of which exist only to kill and consume other life forms. We have adapted, Jake said simply. Adapted. Zorvan repeated the word like it was something strange and terrible. Commander, the Council must deliberate on this matter. We have protocols for encountering new species, but we have no protocols for this. Your kind should not exist. According to every model we have, intelligent life cannot evolve on a world as hostile as yours. Ambassador Kethra moved closer to Jake and spoke quietly. Commander, I must warn you. There are members of this council who will see your species as a threat. They will argue that humans should be quarantined. Some may even call for more extreme measures. Jake felt his crew tense behind him. He had expected challenges in this first meeting, but not this. They had come offering friendship and cooperation. And instead they had been labeled as monsters simply for surviving their own planet. High Arbiter, Jake said, his voice steady. My people have spent our entire history looking up at the stars and wondering if we were alone. We built our ship and traveled across the void because we wanted to find friends, not enemies. We did not choose to be born on a dangerous world. We simply lived there and did our best to build a good life. Zorvan studied him for a long moment. Your words are peaceful, Commander. But words are easy. The Council will need more than words before we can trust a species from a Class 13 Deathworld. Then give us the chance to prove ourselves, Jake said. That is all we ask. Zorvan nodded slowly. The Council will adjourn to consider this matter. You and your crew will remain on the station as our guests. Ambassador Kethra will see to your needs. He paused. I hope for your sake, Commander Harris, that your species is as peaceful as you claim. Because if you are not, I fear what a Class 13 Deathworld might have created. The chamber began to empty. Jake watched the various species file out, many of them casting fearful glances at the small group of humans standing in the center of the room. He had come to this place hoping to open a new chapter in human history. Now he wondered if that chapter would be one of friendship or fear. Amy moved to his side. Well, she said quietly, that could have gone better. Jake almost smiled. We are still alive and not in prison. I will call that a win for now. What do we do next? Jake looked up at the vast chamber, at the thousands of empty seats that had just held beings who saw humans as nightmares made flesh. We show them who we really are. And we hope that is enough. The science wing of Valantis Prime was a cold, sterile place filled with machines that hummed and glowed. Dr. Nathan Cole stood in the center of a large examination room, surrounded by holographic projections of Earth. Dozens of alien scientists watched from behind protective barriers, as if they expected the images themselves to reach out and hurt them. Thank you all for coming, Nathan said. He was a calm man by nature, slow to anger and quick to smile. But even he was starting to feel frustrated. For 3 hours, he had been trying to explain basic facts about Earth, and every single fact seemed to terrify his audience. Scientist Yanara floated in a tank of water near the front of the room. She was a Morellian, a species that looked like a cross between a jellyfish and a flower. Her body pulsed with soft colors that Nathan had learned indicated her emotional state. Right now, those colors were a sickly green that meant fear. "Please continue, Dr. Cole," she said through a translation device. "We must understand your world, even if the understanding brings us pain." Nathan nodded and gestured to the hologram. Earth's gravity is approximately 1.4 times the galactic average for life-bearing worlds. This means that everything on our planet has evolved to be stronger and denser than life on most other worlds. "How do you move?" asked a voice from the back. Nathan could not see who had spoken. "We walk, run, climb, and swim." Many humans can carry objects that weigh as much as they do. Some humans train their bodies to lift objects that weigh 2 or 3 times their own weight. The room fell silent. Nathan saw several scientists making notes, their various appendages trembling as they wrote. "Your planet also experiences extreme temperature variations," Inara said. "Our scans show recorded temperatures ranging from -89 to +57 degrees Celsius." "That is correct. Humans have survived in all of those conditions. We are most comfortable in a range of about 15 to 30 degrees, but we can adapt to almost anything." Council Elder Proth moved forward. He was an ancient being, his body made of living crystal that caught the light and scattered it in rainbow patterns. He had lived for over 4,000 years and had seen hundreds of species join the council. None of them had prepared him for this. "Dr. Cole," Proth said, "your atmosphere contains oxygen at 21% concentration. Are you aware that oxygen is a highly reactive gas that can cause fires, explosions, and rapid cellular decay?" "Yes, we are aware. We breathe it." "You breathe a gas that could be classified as a slow-acting poison." Nathan smiled gently. "We call it air." A small creature near the back of the room collapsed. Medical staff rushed to help it while the others watched with wide eyes. "Perhaps we should take a short break," Inara suggested. "I think that would be wise," Nathan agreed. He walked to a corner of the room where Amy Walsh was waiting for him. She handed him a cup of coffee, and he drank it gratefully. "How is it going?" she asked. "I told them about hurricanes, and they asked if Earth was under constant attack from an enemy species. I had to explain that the planet itself just does that sometimes." Amy laughed softly. "Wait until you tell them about Australia. I am saving that for last. I think it might actually kill someone." The break ended, and the scientists returned to their positions. Nathan noticed that some of them had brought additional medical staff. He tried not to take it personally. "Let us continue," Proth said. "Dr. Cole, please tell us about the other life forms on your planet." Nathan took a deep breath. This was the part he had been dreading. Earth is home to approximately 8 million species. They range from microscopic organisms to creatures weighing over 100 tons. And how many of these species are dangerous to humans? Define dangerous. Proth's crystalline face somehow managed to look concerned. Capable of killing a human. Nathan thought about it. Thousands, at least. We have venomous snakes, spiders, and insects. Predators like lions, tigers, bears, and wolves. Aquatic predators like sharks and crocodiles. Parasites that can live inside our bodies. Bacteria and viruses that can cause deadly diseases. The room had gone very quiet. Even the machines seemed to hum more softly. "And yet your species survived," Inara said. "How?" "We are persistence predators," Nathan explained. "Early humans could not run as fast as our prey, so we chased them until they collapsed from exhaustion. We can run for hours without stopping. We can heal from injuries that would kill most creatures. We adapted to every environment on our planet, from frozen wastelands to burning deserts to dense jungles." "You hunted by exhausting your prey," Proth repeated slowly. "You simply followed other creatures until they could no longer move, and then you killed them." "Yes, we also developed tools, language, and social cooperation. We built shelters and weapons. We tamed fire and used it to cook food, stay warm, and frighten predators. You tamed fire. Yenna's colors had shifted to a deep purple that Nathan did not recognize. You took one of the most destructive forces in nature and made it serve you. We also tamed some of our predators. Dogs are descended from wolves. Cats are descended from small wild hunters. We keep them in our homes as companions. You live with predators, Proth said. By choice. We love them. They are part of our families. The ancient crystal being turned to face the other scientists. I have served on this council for 4,000 years. I have welcomed species from paradise worlds and harsh frontier planets. But I have never encountered anything like this. These humans come from a world that should have killed them 1,000,000 times over. Instead, they conquered it. They did not merely survive their death world. They mastered it. He turned back to Nathan. Dr. Cole, I must ask you a direct question. Your species is clearly capable of extraordinary violence and endurance. What stopped you from using these abilities to destroy each other? Nathan was quiet for a moment. Nothing stopped us. We have had wars, conflicts, and terrible acts of cruelty throughout our history. We are not perfect. But we also have love, compassion, art, music, and an endless desire to explore and understand. We are capable of great darkness, Elder Proth, but we are also capable of great light. Proth studied him with eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. And which will you bring to the stars, Dr. Cole? The darkness or the light? That is what we hope to show you. Give us the chance, and we will prove that a death world can produce more than death. The session ended shortly after. As Nathan gathered his materials, he noticed that some of the scientists were still watching him from behind their barriers. Their faces held many emotions. Fear, certainly, but also something else that might have been curiosity, or perhaps even hope. Ambassador Kethra met him at the door. That was quite a presentation, Dr. Cole. Did I make things better or worse? The delicate alien considered the question. I do not know, but he made them think. Sometimes that is the first step toward understanding. Nathan nodded and followed her out of the science wing, leaving behind a room full of beings who were still trying to process the impossible truth that monsters could also be heroes. The testing facility was a massive structure on the lower levels of Volantis Prime. It had been designed to evaluate the physical capabilities of new species, but no one had ever tested anything like humans before. The observation gallery was packed with council representatives who had come to see the Deathworlders in action. Commander Jake Harris stood with his crew in the center of the testing floor. Lieutenant Chris Dunn, a young Marine with broad shoulders and a friendly face, bounced on his feet like he was warming up for a morning workout. Medic Lara Chun checked her equipment one more time, her movements precise and calm. The others waited patiently, unsure of what to expect. The first test will measure basic strength, announced a voice from above. A platform rose from the floor carrying a series of weighted objects. Please lift the objects in order, starting with the smallest. Chris stepped forward. The first object was a small cube that weighed about 50 pounds by human standards. He picked it up with one hand and looked around, confused. Is this the test? He asked. The observation gallery buzzed with nervous chatter. The cube was the standard maximum lift for most council species. Please continue to the next object, the voice said. Chris worked his way down the line, lifting increasingly heavy objects with growing ease. By the time he reached the final item, a massive cylinder that weighed nearly 400 pounds, the gallery had fallen completely silent. He lifted it, held it above his head for a moment, and then set it down gently. Was that okay? He asked. No one answered. Several observers had fainted. Jake tried not to smile. I think you did fine, Lieutenant. The next test measured endurance. The humans were asked to run on a moving platform until they could not continue. After 2 hours, the testing officials stopped the exercise. The humans had shown no signs of slowing down, and the platform's motor was beginning to overheat. "Your species can run for hours without rest," Yanara said from her tank in the observation gallery. "This is how you hunted?" "We call it persistence hunting," Jake explained. "Most animals run faster than us in short bursts. But they have to stop and rest. We just keep going until they cannot run anymore." "That is terrifying," Yanara replied honestly. The temperature test was next. The humans were exposed to conditions ranging from well below freezing to extreme heat. They handled both with minor discomfort but no lasting damage. "How are you not dead?" asked a Kethni observer, his forearms waving in distress. "Humans can regulate their body temperature," Lavra explained. "We sweat to cool down and shiver to warm up. Our bodies are constantly adjusting to keep us alive. Your bodies are survival machines," the Kethni said. "You are built to not die." Lavra shrugged. "We like living." During a break in the testing, Trade Minister Sylvan approached the human delegation. He was a large Kethni with golden fur and expensive clothing. Unlike most observers, he did not seem afraid. He seemed interested. "Commander Harris," he said, "I have been watching your people with great attention. I see something that others seem to miss. What do you see?" Jake asked. "Opportunity." Sylvan gestured broadly. "There are regions of space that the Council cannot access. Radiation zones, high-gravity worlds, toxic environments. We have resources there that we cannot reach because no Council species can survive the conditions. You want us to work in places where others would die. I want to offer you fair payment for doing what you alone can do. Your abilities are not a curse, Commander. They are a gift that could benefit the entire galaxy." Jay considered this. It was the first time anyone had suggested that humanity's Deathworld origins might be valuable rather than dangerous. The testing continued. One moment stood out above all others. A piece of heavy equipment came loose from the ceiling and fell toward a group of Villani observers. Without thinking, Chris Dunn dove forward and caught the falling machinery before it could crush anyone. The metal bent in his hands as he stopped its fall. The Villani stared at him with their large, compound eyes. The equipment would have killed all of them. This human had stopped it as easily as catching a thrown ball. "Are you okay?" Chris asked, setting the twisted metal aside. Ambassador Kethra trembled nearby. "You saved them. That equipment weighs more than you do, and you simply caught it. It was going to hurt people. I could not just watch. You could have been injured." Chris looked at the scratches on his palms, already beginning to heal. "I will be fine. Humans heal fast." The final demonstration of the day was unplanned. A Morellian scientist went into shock when a loud noise startled her. Her body began to shut down, her translucent form turning gray and lifeless. The alien medical staff rushed to help, but seemed uncertain what to do. Lavra pushed through the crowd without hesitation. She assessed the situation in seconds and began working. The aliens watched in confusion as she stabilized the patient using techniques they had never seen before. "What are you doing?" asked a medical officer. "Basic first aid," Lavra said. "Keeping her airways open, maintaining circulation, preventing shock from getting worse. But you are touching her directly. You could be contaminated." Lavra did not stop working. "She needs help. That is what matters." The Morellian recovered. Her colors slowly returned to normal as Lara monitored her condition. When the alien medical team finally took over, they looked at Lara with something that might have been awe. "You risk yourself for others without hesitation," Inara said later. Her colors a warm yellow that indicated gratitude. "Even for species you have just met." "That is what medics do," Laura said simply. "That is what humans do. We help." As the testing day ended, Jake noticed that the mood in the observation gallery had shifted. Some beings still watched them with fear. But others watched with different expressions. Curiosity, respect, maybe even hope. High Arbiter Zorvan observed from a private booth above the testing floor. Elder Proth stood beside him. "What do you see, old friend?" Zorvan asked. Proth was silent for a long moment. "I see children of a world that tried to kill them every day of their existence. And I see that they responded not with hatred, but with strength, compassion, and an unbreakable will to survive. They are dangerous, Zorvan. More dangerous than anything we have ever encountered. Then we should fear them. No." Proth turned his ancient crystal eyes toward the humans below. "We should learn from them. A species that can survive a Class 13 Deathworld and still choose kindness over cruelty has something to teach us all." Zorvan considered his friend's words. Tomorrow, the council would continue its deliberations. But today, for the first time, he wondered if humanity might be exactly what the galaxy needed. The alarm shattered the quiet of the council chamber like a scream in the night. Red lights flashed across every surface, and a voice announced emergency protocols in a dozen different languages. Jake Harris was on his feet before the first alert finished sounding. "What is happening?" he demanded. Ambassador Kethra rushed toward them, her delicate wings carrying her faster than Jake had ever seen her move. "The Vraxi. They have attacked a colony near the Shattered Expanse. Thousands of civilians are trapped. Who are the Vraxi?" "A predator species from a Class 8 Deathworld. They are raiders and slavers. The Council has fought them for centuries, but has never been able to stop their attacks completely." Jake turned to his crew. "Get to the horizon, now." Minutes later, Jake stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the chaos unfold on the main display. Council military vessels gathered near the station, but none of them were moving toward the distress signal. "Why are they not responding?" Amy asked. High Arbiter Zorvan's face appeared on the communication screen. "The colony is located at the edge of the Shattered Expanse, Commander. The region is filled with radiation storms and gravitational anomalies. Our ships cannot survive the journey." "How bad is it?" "Radiation levels that would kill most of our crews within hours. Gravity wells that could tear a ship apart. And the Vraxi know this. They use the Expanse as a safe haven because no one can follow them there." Jake looked at Amy. She was already pulling up data on her tablet, her eyes scanning the information rapidly. "The radiation is intense," she said, "but within human tolerance levels. The gravity distortions are dangerous, but a skilled pilot could navigate them." "You are suggesting that humans could survive conditions that kill everyone else," Zorvan said. "I am suggesting we try." Captain Ryan Webb's voice came over the communication system. He commanded the Pioneer, Earth's second ship. "Commander, if there are people in danger, we cannot just sit here." "That is not who we are." Jake nodded. "High Arbiter, my crew volunteers to attempt a rescue mission." The council representatives stared at him. Even Zorvan's silver face showed surprise. "Commander, you do not understand what you are volunteering for. The Shattered Expanse has killed thousands of our best officers. Then it is a good thing we are from a Class 13 Deathworld." The Horizon and Pioneer launched within the hour. Jake sat in the command chair as his ship approached the edge of the Expanse. On the screen, the region looked like a wound in space itself. Storms of radiation swirled between twisted chunks of debris. Lightning crackled between gravity wells that bent light into impossible shapes. "It looks like home during a bad hurricane," Chris Dunn said quietly. "Stay focused," Jake replied. "Take us in." The journey through the Expanse was worse than anything Jake had experienced. The ship shuddered and groaned as it navigated between gravity wells. Radiation alarms blared constantly. Engineer Sam Torres ran from station to station, keeping systems online through sheer determination and creative repairs. Hull integrity at 60%, Sam reported. But I can keep us flying. How are you doing that? Asked a council observer who had insisted on joining them. The radiation alone should have disabled our electronics. Sam grinned. I am an engineer. Breaking things is easy. Keeping them working when they should not? That is the fun part. They found the Vraxi 3 hours into the expanse. The raiders had surrounded the colony ship, a massive vessel carrying over 2,000 civilians. The predators were boarding, dragging screaming aliens toward their own vessels. Jake had expected the Vraxi to be terrifying. He had prepared himself for monsters. What he found surprised him. The Vraxi were large insectoid creatures with sharp claws and armored bodies. But they moved slowly, carefully. Their ships were built for intimidation, not speed. And when the horizon emerged from the radiation storm with weapons hot, the raiders froze in obvious confusion. Unknown vessels. Identify yourselves, a Vraxi commander demanded. This is Commander Jake Harris of the Earth vessel Horizon. Release the civilians and leave, or we will stop you. Earth? We do not know this world. But we see your small ships and weak numbers. You cannot threaten us. Jake smiled grimly. Let me show you what a Class 13 Deathworld produces. The battle was short. The Vraxi, despite their fearsome reputation, was simply not built for fighting humans. Their weapons were designed to frighten species from softer worlds. Their tactics relied on intimidation rather than skill. When the humans fought back with speed, precision, and absolute refusal to retreat, the raiders did not know how to respond. Captain Ryan Webb led a boarding team onto the colony ship. They moved through corridors filled with Vraxi soldiers, clearing each section with efficient brutality. Ryan took a wound to his shoulder from a Vraxi blade, but he barely slowed down. Sir, you are bleeding, a rescued civilian said in terror. I know, Ryan replied, still firing at retreating enemies. I will deal with it later. But the pain is just information. It tells me I am still alive. He gestured toward the escape route. Move, we are getting everyone out. The Vraxi retreated. Their commanders, faced with an enemy that did not stop, did not fear, and did not die when they were supposed to, made the only logical choice. They ran. The journey back through the expanse was slower. The human ships were damaged, and they were now protecting a massive colony vessel full of civilians. Sam Torres worked miracles keeping everything operational. The council observer watched in stunned silence as the humans performed repairs during active radiation storms, exposing themselves to conditions that should have killed them in minutes. Why do you survive? The observer finally asked. Sam shrugged, sparks flying from a panel he was welding. Our planet tried to kill us for 1,000,000 years. We got used to it. They emerged from the shattered expanse to find the entire council fleet waiting. Medical ships rushed to help the rescued civilians. Military vessels formed an honor guard around the battered human ships. Jake slumped in his chair, exhausted. Amy sat beside him, equally tired. We did it, she said. We did. On the main screen, High Arbiter Zorvan's face appeared again. His silver features showed an expression Jake had not seen before. It took him a moment to recognize it. Respect. Commander Harris, Zorvan said, on behalf of the Intergalactic Council, I thank you. You have saved over 2,000 lives today. We did what anyone should do, Jake replied. We helped. No, Commander. You did what no one else could do. You went where we could not go, fought enemies we could not face, and brought our people home. Zorvan paused. I believe the Council owes you more than thanks. I believe we owe you a reconsideration. Jake looked at his tired, wounded, triumphant crew. They had come to the stars hoping to prove that humanity deserved a place among the civilized species. Today, they had proven something more. They had proven that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe is also the most willing to sacrifice everything for others. The Grand Council chamber had never been so full. Representatives from every member species filled the curved seats, their attention focused on the small group of humans standing in the center of the room. But unlike the first time Jake Harris had stood in this place, no one was running for the exits. No one was screaming. Instead, they watched with an intensity that felt almost sacred. High Arbiter Zorvan rose from his central platform. His silver skin reflected the light of 1,000 different display screens, and his four eyes glowed with a deep blue that Jake had learned meant serious consideration. This council has gathered to render a final decision on the matter of Earth and its human inhabitants, Zorvan announced. Before we vote, we will hear testimony from those who have experienced human nature firsthand. A Vellani civilian came forward first. She was one of the 2,000 rescued from the shattered expanse. Her wings still trembled, but her voice was steady. I watched a human soldier fight through a wall of Raxi raiders to reach my children, she said. He was wounded. He was bleeding. But he did not stop until my family was safe. When I thanked him, he said it was nothing. He said protecting children is what humans do. She paused. I do not fear humans anymore. I pray to have them as friends. More witnesses came forward. The Morellian scientist that Larva Chun had saved spoke of human compassion. A Cathany merchant described the economic potential of human capabilities. Council Elder Proth shared his observations about a species that had mastered death itself and chosen to embrace life. Ambassador Kethra was the last to speak. She approached the center of the chamber and looked directly at Jake before turning to address the council. When I first met Commander Harris, I was terrified. I had been told that his species came from a world of nightmares. I expected monsters. She spread her delicate wings. Instead, I found people. People who laugh and worry and hope, just like us. People who hurt when they are wounded and grieve when they lose those they love. The humans are not monsters. They are simply survivors of a world that makes monsters look gentle. She turned back to Jake. I was wrong to fear you, Commander. I apologize. Jake nodded. No apology is necessary, Ambassador. Fear is a natural response to the unknown. We came here hoping to show you who we really are. And you have, Zorvan said. You have shown us courage, compassion, and a willingness to sacrifice yourselves for strangers. You have shown us that dangerous does not mean evil. He gestured, and the main display changed to show a voting interface. The Council will now vote on Earth's membership application. However, I must first present an unusual proposal. The chamber buzzed with curious whispers. Standard membership categories do not fit the human species, Zorvan continued. They are too capable for normal membership, too integrated with their Deathworld nature to be classified as a standard civilization. Therefore, I propose a new classification. I propose that humans be designated as a guardian species. Jake frowned. What does that mean? It means that humanity would serve a special role in Council society. Guardians would be called upon to protect, explore, and defend. You would go where others cannot. You would face threats that would destroy any other species. In return, the Council would offer you full rights, resources, and respect. Trade Minister Solvan rose from his seat. I support this proposal. Humans could open entire regions of space that we have abandoned to the darkness. They could protect us from threats we cannot face alone. You want us to be your warriors, Jake said. No, Zorvan replied. We want you to be our guardians. There's a difference. Warriors fight for conquest. Guardians fight for protection. And from everything we have seen, Humans are natural guardians. Jake looked at his crew. Amy nodded slowly. Lavra smiled. Chris stood tall, proud of what they had accomplished. Ryan, his shoulder now properly bandaged, gave a thumbs up. I cannot speak for all of humanity, Jake said finally, but I can speak for myself and my crew. We came to the stars hoping to find friends and allies. We did not expect to find a universe that feared us. We certainly did not expect to be called guardians. He straightened his shoulders. But if this is our place among the stars, then we accept it. Humanity will use its strength to protect those who cannot protect themselves. We will face the darkness so that others can live in the light. Not because we are monsters, but because our world taught us that life is precious. Every moment of survival is a gift. And gifts are meant to be shared. Zorvan nodded. Then let us vote. The results were not even close. Species after species voted in favor of human membership. When the final tally appeared on the display, it showed overwhelming support. For the first time in Council history, a Deathworld species had been welcomed not as a threat but as a protector. The chamber erupted in celebration. Delegates cheered. Some approached the humans to offer congratulations. Others simply watched with expressions of wonder and hope. Later, Jake stood alone at a viewing window on Volantis Prime. Stars stretched out before him in an endless ocean of light. Behind him, his crew celebrated with their new allies. But Jake needed a moment of quiet. Amy found him there. She stood beside him and looked out at the stars. You look thoughtful, she said. I am thinking about home. About all the people who have never seen this view. About all the generations who looked up at those stars and wondered if anyone was out there. Now we know. Now we know. And we know something else too. Jake turned to face her. We spent our entire history believing we were alone in a hostile universe. We thought we were small and insignificant, clinging to a rock in the middle of nothing. But we were wrong. What do you mean? Jake smiled. We are not victims of a hostile universe, Amy. We are the hostile universe. To everyone else out there, we are the nightmare. We are the Deathworld. And we just became their guardians. Amy laughed softly. That is terrifying and inspiring at the same time. Welcome to humanity. Across the station, in quarters occupied by 12 different species, parents told their children stories before sleep. Many of those stories were new, inspired by recent events. They spoke of strange beings from a world of death who came to the stars not to conquer, but to protect. Beings who could survive anything, endure everything, and still choose kindness over cruelty. The children listened with wide eyes and racing hearts. They dreamed of human guardians who would keep them safe from the darkness. And somewhere in those dreams, they began to understand something wonderful. Monsters were not always evil. Sometimes, if you were very lucky, the monster was on your side, and there was nothing more comforting than knowing the deadliest thing in the galaxy had chosen to be your friend.